Alright, I might not be in the best position to give you the lowdown on this video, but I'm going to do my best as a current student for the title of this video, which is how to become a successful student. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is ensure we know what the outlook is. Why are you studying? What's the reason for you to wake up every morning, go into university, into college, into school, do whatever you might be doing? What's the actual reason behind it? You need to understand what the outlook for your studies really and truly means. Are you just filling a gap? Are you just doing what the norm is, just following what your parents tell you to do and what others have told you to do? Because there's so many people out there that are high school dropouts, college dropouts. They just end up doing apprenticeships and becoming super successful in so many different ways than just going to school. So what's the reason? First, we need to understand that before going any further. So once you have that in your mind and it's fully justified, that's step one done. So now it's about pushing forward and understanding what your studies will do for you. So we have to maximize the efficiency of our study time and what we're going to get out of it. And that basically means understanding your career. What are your career paths? There might not just be one, you know. Sometimes it can be 4, 5 or 6 different options, or even more than that you could be taking. But if you've got one that you're really hell-bent on doing, like for example me and dentistry, you really do still need to have a contingency plan. Meaning if all else fails, there should be something there as a backup that your studies can help you still achieve, even if the primary objective isn't met. And this comes full circle back round to the idea of what are your goals. So understanding that outlook side of things right at the beginning, that's why it's super important, just to give you some clarity moving forward in your studying journey. And the easiest way to do all of this is the old-fashioned pen and paper. Just write it down. Write it down and revisit it often. Use calendar events to keep reminding you to go back and remind yourself why you're doing it. Because sometimes it's such a long journey that you can just lose motivation along the way and you just stop thinking about why you're doing it. That revisiting of what you're doing it for is the thing that keeps the fire in your belly and makes you a top achiever. Okay, so step number 2, research. You've done everything so far as to what your goals are, the outlook, why you're studying, and obviously you've understood what your career path should be. And that's doing the next best thing. In that time that you're studying, you should actually be understanding your career a bit more. When you're eventually finished with your studies, you're going to be in the same boat as everybody else out there. And that's to go into your career with absolutely no experience or real knowledge about the career in itself. How do you maximize that 9 to 5 that you're inevitably going to go into to make sure you're not just being paid peanuts for it, but being paid a lot more for it because you're a lot more of an effective worker in that industry? So this is the time you need to understand the industry amongst your competitors. So make sure when you're out there in the open, ready to be hired or recruited, you are the number one prospect and everybody wants a piece of you. So this brings me to point number 3. And I've coined this the Jailhouse Theory. The idea is all of us as students are essentially serving a prison sentence. We are in jail, right? Now, for me, for example, it's about 5 or 6 years worth of studying. And when you put it all together, that's 5 or 6 years that I'm doing alongside all the other colleagues that are studying dentistry, be it here, back in the UK, or anywhere else abroad. The thing is, when we all come out, we are going to be at square one, all vying for a certain position with a dental clinic to try to get a good enough salary while getting the experience as we grow as clinicians. That could be in any realm, any field, whether it's engineering, whether it's medicine, whether it's you doing law or anything else, be it even outside of studying. But when we start our careers, everybody starts on the same level playing field. So the Jailhouse Theory is all about understanding that you are all prisoners at this moment. You're not earning a salary. You're not doing what you want to do. You are stuck for that term, for that period of time that you've dedicated for your studies. You are stuck within it and there is no changing that. And people in jail do one of 2 things. They either wait their time out, then they're scot-free at the end of their jail term, just get on with their lives as normal. But then there's the others that sit down in the libraries and they learn everything. Or they'll sit there in the gym, become absolutely swole and come out and actually have something to do, become PTs or online influencers, whatever it might be. The same thing applies when you are studying. In the time that you're studying, why not maximize your understanding of the industry you're about to go in? It would be silly for me to sit here for 6 years and know nothing about dentistry when I come out. So why not take that time, maximize my effort and learn everything from what different materials there are in the dental world, what types of clinics there are, how could I buy one? Is it worth buying a clinic in the future? What courses should I go on as a dentist? What's going on in the day-to-day news within dentistry? I should be on top of that. So when I'm actually out there, I'm not being swindled by people that are taking on my services in the early years. Rather, I'll have the experience from day one. And that's something all of us should be doing within our careers. So it would be an absolute waste of time for me to just sit here for the next 6 years and do nothing. The same with you guys. Make sure you're on the ball with your industry. If that means going online and researching blog posts, articles, reading magazines, getting in touch with people that are in the industry already and building a network, then go ahead and do that. But don't just sit there for 5 or 6 years or whatever how long it is for you and just wait for things to happen. We are living in a world right now where everything is a crisis. The dental crisis, the cost of living crisis. Nobody's really doing the hand-me-outs and the hand-me-downs anymore. So it's best to be the best version of yourself. Maximize the prison sentence that you have and make sure when you come out, you are super ready for the world. So point number 4. This is tied in with the last 2 points, and it's all about effectiveness. Like for example, I didn't really used to cook much before I went to university, especially abroad. So I would rely on going out, grabbing some food here and there, or eating snacks and all the rest of it. But then I understood the effects that it had on my health and my well-being. So I've taken a completely different shift in mindset to learn how to cook. And that skill set has become a bit more of a hobby now. I get some enjoyment out of it. So being effective doesn't just mean within your studies, but also your life skills. Are you going out and meeting new people? Are you playing sports with different people and understanding more about their backgrounds and cultures? Because within that, there are so many different ways of living your life that you will learn a whole plethora of different skill sets that will serve you so well when you go back and finally have your career up and running. So beware of this new TikTok trend of condensing everything into short 10 to 20 second videos. It's just making everybody have ADHD. We're just losing our attention to detail with so many different things in the world. And I think in all honesty, it's the best way to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. Because if people out there are just happy to take pieces of information and not the whole thing, you're never really going to be successful. So rewire the brain to ensure that you are always pushing for information and being effective with the way that you learn things. In essence, become a sponge. And once you've done that, you will see that you will build up these interpersonal skills that maybe they don't teach you at school. But sitting down with complete strangers in an environment that might be out of your comfort zone will finally become so much more easier for you. You lose that social anxiety. You'll deal so much better with people in general, especially in situations such as interviews, which are super important. So make sure that you're taking this time now to absorb information and ask the right questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. That's going to give you these skill sets that you need to become a more successful student now, and of course, become a very successful person in your career moving forward. Now that brings me to my final point, and I'm a strong believer in this one. It's all about networking. The thing is, I feel as though people find it very odd and almost embarrassing to reach out to people and just gain information. In reality, it's a numbers game. Maybe if you reach out to 100 people online for information about your career, you might get one response, but that's all you need to get started. For example, I've taken the time on my channel to reach out to some very, very big dentists around the UK. In all honesty, most of them haven't replied, but I've got 1 or 2 responses for some amazing dentists. The idea is there are nice people out there, and these are the people that are going to shape your future. So remember to always network and network effectively within the field that you're interested in. Don't just send DMs to people for the sake of it, but have a story behind it and make sure that what you're saying resonates with the person on the other end as well, because that's the most important thing. And this kind of circles into something which is super important that I've seen in the current generations out there. People don't reply so much to messages nowadays, and I don't know whether it's like a fad or like a way to look cool to not reply. I've never understood this concept, but I've got kind of 3 rules when it comes down to replying to messages. Number 1, if you see a message, open it and reply. Forget all of this nonsense that they replied to me 3 hours late, so I'm going to reply to them 3 hours late. You set the standards. You are the person that is in control and in charge of that friendship or in that relationship. Because if you have those high standards, that means people have to come to your level. And if they don't, well, you've got the wrong friends. And you are judged by the company you keep. So that will just push you forward to make sure that you're ditching the rubbish and the dead weight, and you're actually making friends that have the same mindset as you and help you achieve your targets. If you look at millionaires and billionaires in the world, all of their friends are successful millionaires and billionaires. They don't hang around with bums. That's just how it goes. So if you set those high standards and people can't comply with it, get rid of them. You don't need them. I know it sounds harsh, but that's the way the world works. If you want to be successful, rub shoulders with successful people. The second rule when it comes to conversations, when you have a message from someone, I would say if you don't have the time to reply, don't even open it. Don't even open the message. I know it's tempting to find out what did that person say, but that temptation should be the thing that drives you back to the conversation to open it at a time when you have the time to respond. Make sure you're treating others the way you want to be treated. So reply in a timely fashion when you can, and if you can't, make sure that you have that prep in your mind to go ahead and reply to that message, but don't open it because you're just going to forget. And in most cases, people do. I've heard so many people say, oh, I'll never forget, I'll reply. It just doesn't happen. Things slip through the mesh. So the third thing I would say, for those of you that have a habit of opening messages and not replying, if you open the message and you think, I'll reply to this later, so many apps now, you can just click on the message and unread it. So kind of mark it as unread. So you can do that with emails, you can do that with WhatsApp. There's so many different platforms that allow this. At least that then gives you a highlighted message to refer back to, and it will give you that prompt to go and respond. This will build your communication skills, it will build your networking capabilities, and also for you as a character, it makes you look like somebody who's got their stuff together. And that's what people want in a successful candidate, be it for a job, be it for friends, family, just relationships in general. This is where it's all built from. You as a person, your communication skills, and where your network takes you. And in the future, it's your network that's going to really, really push you through the ranks. Like the old saying goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So put all of this together, guys, and I'm sure you'll become an effective student, not just for the studying aspect, but it will build you that motivation and that goal-setting mentality that's going to keep that fire in your belly to keep you going year on year, semester to semester, even beyond your first day at work. So keep going. I'll try to do the same thing, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.